guys, I'm Tiffany. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in September. The first book I read was Better Than the Prom. Better Than the Prom is a continuation of Better Than the Movies, so this follows Wes's perspective when they are at the senior prom. This was pretty cute. It took a while to get going, but it definitely had some sweet moments. It's nice how much of a hopeless romantic Wes was. Clearly I've read too many adult romances lately because when Liz rolled over in bed, I expected Wes to be there. The two of them texting in the middle of the night, giddy for their date, was adorable. I didn't enjoy Better Than the Movies, but I thought Better Than the Prom was a decent read. The next book I read was Sweet Virginia. So the main character, she wants life to be different, and then she starts having this text exchange with this guy, but certain other things happen in this short story. I'm gonna have to be honest, I had a much better time reading it, but upon further reflection, like thinking about it, I'm just kind of confused about what the point was, like what the goal was. I mean, maybe the whole thing, it's like they keep on saying, oh, you had to be the perfect woman, and that's kind of like what's going on, where it's like showing the flaws of there's so many women that are excluded in this ideal. But I feel like it could have been a little bit more explored. But during the time that I read it, I did think it was an enjoyable feminist story. And I really enjoyed Kristen Bell's narration. It's definitely more one of those things that you look back on and it's like, why did you like that? I don't know. I mean, it was like somewhat good, and then I was like, what's happening? So it's like, eh. Next up, I read Rewards. So this was in the same category as Sweet Virginia and Graceful Burdens. So it's like feminist stories, but this one was just confusing. Like, there were two women that this book followed, and it was like these two dudes weren't that great, but they were getting good things anyway. There was like a Shark Tank sort of thing that was in this, and like they get this deal even though they don't deserve it. I mean, it didn't feel like, I think they said in the synopsis that this was about male privilege, but it just seemed more like these guys just somehow were able to get things. The point of the story really didn't come across. I did not enjoy it at all. Yeah, I basically sum it up in my thoughts. A disappointing read, a whole lot of nothing. The next book I read is now one of my favorite books, and it is Focused. So this is a sports romance where this football player and this staff member, they have to work together for this Amazon documentary. It was very, very enjoyable. I thought it was great. I definitely don't agree with, because it's like they're enemies to lovers because they have a shared past. It definitely is controversial. It's very frowned upon, and I don't like it, and I still don't appreciate it. But the story itself, now that they're older and everything, is so much better than like the past that they had. I was like, I didn't like that part. But in general, with this book, it was just very enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. And I've never really read a sports romance before, but I'm like never about sports, but I really liked this one. So I'm kind of like, hey, let's check out some more sports romances. I really liked this book. And because I enjoyed Focused, I wanted to read the book before this, which was The Marriage Effect. So this was a marriage of convenience sports romance, and this focused on the main character of Focused, her older brother, and so it focuses on him and her stepmother, so the two of them, their romantic story. I definitely did not enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed Focused. I feel the only attraction that these two had, it was just purely based on looks. It was super superficial. I didn't feel the appeal in any way. I didn't believe the romance at all. So I liked it somewhat, but I was very disappointed after the third act conflict. And the thing that was mentioned in Focus is what happens in this book, and I hated it so much. Like, one of the pieces of dialogue that the dude says, the dude that's the main guy, the love interest in Focused, what he says there, just all around, don't like it, hate it, why was that in the book? Did not like that at all. The next book I read was Mason Falls Mysteries, The House. So this was a little mystery about this haunted house in their town. I thought it was okay. I definitely regret reading it, but it did have me questioning which direction the author wanted to take. Like, I couldn't tell for sure if they wanted it to be, oh, something spiritual is happening and something bad's gonna happen to them, or this is all a joke, like a Scooby-Doo situation. It definitely was boring, but it was like, the only thing that had me was like, what's gonna happen? What is the deal? The next book I read is by far the worst book of 2022 so far for me. That is Maybe Not by Colleen Hoover. Ooh, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. Oof. Now, there are plenty of people who have mentioned how problematic and awful and questionable the Colleen, the writing, the characters, the plot that Colleen Hoover does in her books, but it's not as bad as when you actually look at it. Like, just hearing people talk about it, it's like, oh, okay. But when you read it, it's the worst. So I don't want to give the full rant review I have for that. Maybe I'll do that in another video. If you guys want to see that, please comment down below, because I'm a little like, Basically, this book, it's a little novella between Maybe Someday and whatever book is after Maybe Someday. And it follows these two characters. It's just straight up awful. I hate it. There's nothing good about it, and I can't believe how many people have given it 4 and 5 stars. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, that guy, I wanted to punch in the face. It was awful. What is going on? I just don't understand how people could read this and see good things about the book. I'm like, what are you talking about? It was straight up awful. I'm so mad that I read it. So that is actually what happened. So this month I had challenged myself to reading 30 books in 30 days. So basically I was kind of, then and again, reading a book a day, and that was going pretty good. And so at around the 9th, which is the time that I read this book, I was just like, I don't think I can read anymore. I need a pause. Like, it was just, it was like poison for my brain. This book sucked so much. So I actually had to take a little pause from reading, so I definitely did not read as many books as I had planned to. And yeah, it's like, why did you read so few books? That's the book that's to blame. It's awful. Never read a Colleen Hoover book. Don't do it. Next up, I read Alex, a Delirium story. So this takes place right after Delirium, and I did not enjoy Delirium, but I was like, wow, this is a super short book. Let's just read it. I was very unimpressed with the writing. There were loads of weird analogies and metaphors. Dare I say it? Yes, I will. It did not have any intellectual worth. Trash, bad, not good at all. Why does it exist? No good reason. The next book I read was The Guard. So this is a part of the Selection series, and it focuses on Aspen. More proof, once again, that Aspen is a waste of a character. Why is he here? No one wants him. An installment to the Selection series that adds nothing. Not that the Selection is that good. I had enjoyed it as a teenager, but I had done a reread of it in 2020. I actually have a video about revisiting the Selection series, and it was awful. But this one especially, like, why does it exist? Blech. The next book I read was Girl Wash Your Face. I thought this was a solid Christian self-help book. I explored some things and learned new perspectives. I'm glad I picked this up. But there were definitely a lot of times this girl, she had some very questionable opinions. Like, there were definitely things I'm like, what? No. There were plenty of things where it's like, ooh, no. Definitely the whole thing about her husband. Like that whole chapter where it's like, oh, I'm so glad she got away from that ex, and it turns out to be him. I'm like, no. So it's good now that they're divorced, because it's like, man, that whole thing sounds awful. But I don't know enough about the situation of why they divorced. Maybe she still is like, I'm happy I was with this guy. The next book I read was Radiance. So this book is about this girl. She and her parents and her dog died. Now her sister is still alive. And the main character, she had wanted to go follow her sister, and then she gets stuck, but then she now is in the afterlife and everything, and so they have to do certain duties and everything, so she has to work with this guy. She doesn't like him. I thought they kind of were like a good match. I thought they were cute. But seriously, this was a childhood reread I totally forgot about. I'm so glad I picked this up again. This was really good, and I think I might continue with the series. I thought there was some good action, and even though at the very end it got a little silly, I still had a good time. And the last book I read was Countdown to a Kiss. So this was a hockey romance novella. It's a little short before the actual series apparently. And this was super bland. The guys were all unlikable main characters and female characters that could do so much better. And also the way they talked about women in the book, it was just disgusting. I just like, why? Awful. And those are all the books I read in September. There were definitely some I didn't like and others I did like. So I am happy with how I challenged myself. The most I've read is 9 books. Now again, a lot of these were shorts or novellas, so I didn't read as many pages, but I'm still glad I picked up new and different stories. And I feel for October, I feel like now I'm kind of getting out of my year-long reading slump. I feel much better about getting into reading and everything, which I'm really happy about. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please be sure to like this video, comment down below what books you read in September or any books you're planning on reading in October, or even just a little book emoji. And please be sure to subscribe. It would really help and support me. See you guys real soon. Bye!